Welcome back to the Sophie Martin Show here on New HD Radio. Today we're joined by a band that has built a world all through their own music. The Armoires are more than just a pop rock group. They're storytellers, label founders, and creative explorers. With their latest release, Octoberland, they've blended shimmering harmonies, rich instrumentation, and a collective voice that speaks to community and connection. We're diving into their journey, their sound, and what's next for the Armoires. Let's get started. What inspired the idea behind your new album, Octoberland?
Oh, it's wonderful to be here, and thank you so much for having us. Octoberland was our fourth album,
Yes.
and it's definitely an album that sort of brings together a lot of the themes that we've been chasing over the previous three records. It's got a very autumnal feeling to it, and indeed, just as you said, it really is focused on empathy and community and people striving to understand each other, and expressed through a lot of the imagery that speaks to those autumnal times, right?
Yes, it's a very wee album.
Yeah, very. There's a collective sense that we like to put forward from the band, and we like to think that that's welcoming to the listener as well in that same sense.
Why did you choose to write songs from a we perspective instead of I?
Well, we always, for one thing, one of the unique things about our band instrumental in terms of like the instrumentation and the arrangements is that it's almost always the two of us singing together.
Ambiguous androgyny.
Yeah. So we knew that as we'd gone along, a lot of times, people would have a hard time telling whether it's Christina singing or me singing. And we thought that was something that we could incorporate into the actual songwriting. And we're going to say we in pretty much every song, to sort of bring the listener into our world. And it also has a little bit of mystery to it, which we enjoy.
Full on Witch Mode has a mystical feel. What inspired that?
The times. Escaping reality. Yeah.
I mean, I think again, this is our new single, and it's coming out about a year after Octoberland was released, and it continues a lot of that theming. When we were talking about the next thing we would do after Octoberland, there was a conversation between Christina and myself and Larissa Bulbenko, our viola player, and also Christina's daughter, where we were talking about how this sort of mystical themes, this sort of just witchy vibes that were pervasive on Octoberland, deserve to come front and center, maybe for a song that was going to be released around Halloween time, and
on a Halloween compilation,
on a Halloween collection. This is not, it's a loose single that's not part of an album of ours, but it's part of the Big Stir Records Halloween collection, Chilling, Thrilling Hooks and Haunted Harmonies. And we really enjoyed going a little bit deeper, a little bit closer to that veil between the worlds, metaphorically at least. And again, it's seeking to connect people and to ask people to connect to each other and be a little bit more understanding.
Exactly.
Your music blends a lot of influences. How do you make it all work together?
I don't know that it just sort of happens. It's not something that we seek to do.
We do a lot of letting the music take its own shape. And over the course of the previous three albums and being together for 10 or 11 years, the band seems to have its own sound, and that's centered around our harmonies and the fact that there's always sort of an electric 12-string and a viola and a keyboard taking on different kinds of roles. We find now that the band has its own sound, and we're really, really happy to explore that to the fullest.
Even when we do covers, there's a distinctive Armoires sound to it.
and some people might be constantly experimenting with their sound, and I think to us, we just are really comfortable there, and we want to explore every nook and cranny of the way those things blend and go together.
Sometimes the viola follows the guitar, sometimes the viola follows the keys, and vice versa.
Yeah, I think it's a big deal for us to have that sound. And what we find is that, like Christina said with covers, also sometimes if we start doing a song that we think is particularly influenced by a different band at the songwriting level, by the time we've done the arrangement, it sounds
like the Armoires.
It sounds like the Armoires, and we consider ourselves really fortunate to be in a place where we have a signature sound. It's a lovely place to land on and explore.
And we're lucky to have the members of the band in the band.
How is making Zabaldone different from your other albums?
The second album, Zabaldone, that was extremely different. That
was us gathering people from all around the world to be a part of the album. And it was journeys through various places on tour. And
yeah, that was an album that came out of playing live a lot, which since the pandemic, we haven't done that much of. But at the time we recorded the Zabaldone, we were doing a lot of touring here in California, over in the UK. And it sort of goes along with the fact that we were forming Big Stir Records as a label at that time and bringing on a lot of other artists. And we invited a lot of those artists to contribute to that album. So it was a
communal effort.
Yeah, that was a super collaborative album. And if you look at Octoberland, hardly anyone other than our wonderful producer, Michael Simmons, musical genius.
Yes.
Hardly anyone other than the core band is on the new record. So it's extremely different from that second album.
And Zabaldone actually means a heap of things, or like a travel log.
Yeah, it's like an antique word for like a travel journal.
Yeah, which would include like images drawn and maybe recipes.
I guess like scrapbooking.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, that was I think in a sense a documentary of us traveling the world and meeting people and bringing them on board, and it's a unique period in our history. Yeah.
You run Big Stir Records as well as make music. How do you balance both roles?
Well, it's not easy. We had to take time off to record an album, and yeah, we did it very quickly. We wrote the songs in a span of like 10 days, and then just started recording. But running the label is more than a full-time job. It's 7 days a week, 12 hours a day.
I think one of the things that sort of helps us connect those two aspects of it is that the artists that are on Big Stir Records also know that when they talk to us, they're not just talking to business people. They're talking to fellow artists. We're
very artist-centric.
Yeah, and the label is always going to try to treat the artist the way we as a band would want to be treated, and the artists really appreciate that. And it forges a kind of unique camaraderie with the artists on the label. And I think that's something you can really hear when we do something like the Halloween collection, Chilling, Thrilling Hooks and Haunted Harmonies. The Armoires are on that record, and so are a lot of our friends. You can just go down the list. Librarians with Hickey, Sparkle Jets UK, which features Michael Simmons, who's the co-producer.
Right. Crossword Smiles, the Jack Rubies,
Corner Laughers, Splitsville, and then some fairly big legendary names like Graham Parker and Strawberry Alarm Clock. And we're all kind of friends, and we all
support each other.
And we all kind of related to this idea of we're all going to take on these this sort of spooky theme thing for Halloween, and see if all the different things that all of our different bands are going to come up with based on that theme can gel into one greater whole. So
everyone dove in completely. We were so impressed by the material we were getting for this thing.
So we're constantly learning how to do the business better, but we also always kind of return to that core center of being artists and loving the other artists that we work with on the label. So that's the saving grace, I think.
I think so too.
Are there any new instruments or sounds you'd like to try in the future?
Yeah. Well, Rex's kid just got an omnichord. We used in our video, but of course it wasn't played live.
It's an omnichord is a sort of 80s vintage electronic instrument that's somewhat like an auto harp, but it's been used by Daniel Lanois and a bunch of other artists over time. It's almost like a toy, but it can create these really neat sounds. And I think it's very interesting because as I said earlier, no matter what we're doing, I mean, there are songs that we've written that we've thought we're essentially doing, almost like the Mamas and the Papas, and there are other songs that we've written that we feel like we're doing the Buzzcocks. But our instrumentation all pulls it towards this central sound. So when we start incorporating new things, and it's usually a new keyboard sound. I mean,
Yeah.
it's usually a new keyboard
But
sound.
we've had steel guitar, we've had banjo, we've had mandolin, we've had all kinds
there's
of
some
things.
rootsy instruments and there's some tech instruments, and yeah, we're always
Accordion.
live
accordion.
yeah. And there are always things that can sort of come in there, but we also don't want to lose our central sound, so we are very careful with our arrangements, I
Yes.
think. So.
What message do you hope listeners take from your songs?
The feeling of community, togetherness. We're in this together. Let's, find empathy and forge friendships in every, walk of life, from every walk of life and from every corner of the world, and get through this together.
Yeah, I mean, I think we never want to write a song that's kind of like polemical or very sort of didactic or anything like that. So we'll tend to do these. Most of the writing has to do with it comes from a storytelling or a character perspective, and is going to incorporate something other than just sort of a preaching kind of thing. But everything that Christina said does underlie every last bit of it. So whether we're when we do a song like We Absolutely Mean It, which is kind of our manifesto of us as a collective, as a band, that's also meant to say that this is, in our opinion, the best way for people to get along is to accept each other's differences and try to create something, forge something new out of it. Just like we hope that that's the way our band comes across. And we're very much drawn to pulling on literary and mythological themes that will also point in that direction. Let's be open to art and expression, and what a special world that can create, rather than everyone kind of being ego driven and out for themselves.
How do you decide when and how to cover another artist's song?
In our world, there's a great deal of people doing
tribute albums.
Yeah, and often you're invited many times, ourselves and other indie artists. One of the ways that we get together is when an album comes along, something like Make Something Happen, the tribute to the Flash Cubes that we were just on. So we're often brought together by a community of people who want to pay tribute to other artists. And I think most of our covers come from having been invited to do that kind of thing. Every once in a while,
the laws have changed, though. That was our choice.
there have been a couple where we just really specifically want to align ourselves with some of our key influences. And one of them was when we did a cover of The Laws of Change by the New Pornographers, which is just a very much of a template band for us. And another one that we just decided we absolutely wanted to do, and it leads back into Halloween yet again, was a John Cale John Cale from the Velvet Underground. And
Paris
it
1919.
was Paris 1919 from one of his solo albums, which is almost a completely orchestral piece. And we just loved it and wanted to put a rock spin on it.
But we learn a lot when we do covers.
Yeah.
We learn a lot about our capabilities, our
Our
possibilities.
possibilities and different perspectives from songwriting. So yeah, when we choose our own, like we did with the John Cale song, like we did with the New Pornographers song, they're usually from outside the sort of pop rock world. I mean, New Pornographers isn't really from outside that, but
No.
from outside the power pop world. So we can, sort of reach other people that have similar influences, and also, do a little bit of introducing some great songwriters to the people that are following us in that pop scene.
What's next for the Armoires? Any new projects or ideas on the horizon?
Oh, we are so deep in the woods right now with the Halloween compilation.
The creepy haunted woods of that. Yeah. It is interesting. I think that this song that's the new single, Full On Witch Mode, was part of a set of songs that was and probably still will develop into the fifth Armoires album. And it wasn't even conceived of as like a Halloween song so much
Right.
as like the next part of Octoberland, but it's coming out on its own and as part of that collection with all of our other artists on Big Stir. And we probably kind of move on from there. I mean, I think we're always hearing ideas, and I think what will happen with the fifth album is very much what happened with Octoberland, which is that a lot of ideas, we don't like to sit down and record one thing at a time. We really,
it's of a piece.
Yeah, we really enjoyed taking the time to write, all the 11 songs on Octoberland.
And each song informs the next. So
Yeah.
it's a process that we've come to love and enjoy, and we'll probably do again.
Yeah, I think it was a really beautiful thing that unfolded while the two of us, together as the songwriters, were writing the Octoberland songs. We would realize there were connections between them, that both in terms of theme and imagery, and then we would kind of go from one song to another and say, oh, this could reference that as well, and even sort of like this song comes after that one, almost in a storytelling kind of fashion. So we found that really rewarding. And when those 11 songs were done, they all belonged together.
And we never resequenced anything.
Yeah. So most likely, ideas will kind of continue to percolate. We'll talk about them while we're doing other work, and then we'll sit down and do the final writing of all of them together. Sometime for, I don't know, 2027 or something like that.
Right.
We'd try to be realistic.
Hopefully 2026.
It'd be nice, yeah.
That was the Armoires here on the Sophie Martin Show on New HD Radio. Their music invites us into new worlds while staying grounded in timeless melodies and heartfelt messages. Be sure to check out their latest album, Octoberland, and explore more of their work through Big Stir Records. A big thank you to the Armoires for joining us today, and thank you for listening. Stay tuned. More great music and stories are coming your way.